The conflict of interest is so huge and so glaring that nobody can turn a blind eye anymore. In one stroke, this research report completely undermines the credibility of the regulator. It tears to pieces the integrity of India's Prime Minister. It tears to pieces how Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. There are absolutely serious allegations that have been raised in the Hindenburg research report on the role of the market regulator, on the shareholding of Madhabi Buch and her husband, on how allegedly she was investing in funds which were connected, offshore funds which were connected to Gautam Adani's brother Vinod Adani. There is an entire series of events that the Hindenburg research outlines. One Agora consulting firm is come to fore, how she owned that firm, that got a lot of business in India, how she, when she became a SEBI chief, she transferred the ownership to her husband. Blackstone, where her husband is a senior advisor, it's a big player in REITs, she talks about REITs. So the conflict of interest from her investment in offshore funds, according to the report, her consulting firm Agora, according to the report Blackstone, the conflict of interest is so huge and so glaring that nobody can turn a blind eye anymore. And which is why questions will be raised on should Madhabi Buch continue as India's market regulator. In one stroke, this research report completely undermines the credibility of the regulator. It tears to pieces the integrity of India's Prime Minister. It tears to pieces how Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. There are various questions that we have of India's regulator. There are also various questions that we have of the government. Did she invest in the IPE Plus Fund 1 in 2015? A fund that was connected to Vinod Adani. When did she cease to have a stake there? When did she transfer her stake to her husband? When she was a whole-time director in SEBI, did she make the disclosures about the funds that she was holding? Did she make the disclosures about Agora Consulting? Who are the companies that continue to give business to Agora Consulting? Which entities continue to give business even now? Has she disclosed to SEBI that her husband is a part of Blackstone as senior advisor? Blackstone, which is a big player in the REITs space. REITs is something that she has personally espoused. Has she had direct meetings with Adani or Blackstone or companies associated with them? And before telling the Supreme Court that we drew a blank, did SEBI tell the Supreme Court that funds that the SEBI was probing, some of them allegedly had the SEBI chief herself and her husband as investors? Was this disclosed to the Supreme Court or not? Questions will also be raised of the government. Could this have happened? Could this collusion between the SEBI chief and Gautam Adani's group have happened without the knowledge, without the patronage of India's Prime Minister, as the report raises? As the report questions, what is the Prime Minister now going to say about the role of the SEBI chief? Can this government possibly probe the Adani mega scandal? Has Gautam Adani played a crucial role in the appointment of SEBI Chief Madhabi Buch? Corridors of power. There are murmurs in the corridor of power that he has disproportionate say as far as appointment of officers, competent authorities, and even judicial positions is concerned. The reality is that India's stock market regulator has lost all credibility. And tomorrow, if and when the markets fall, who is going to be responsible for the erosion of capital as far as India's small investors are concerned? Who is going to ring fence the small investors? And why should Madhabi Buch, Gautam Adani and Narendra Modi not be held accountable when market erosion happens, market capital erosion happens? We call ourselves the Vishwa Guru. Is this the rule of law that we can assure foreign and domestic investors with? And last but not the least, the Supreme Court was probing this matter. Was the Supreme Court made aware of the possible conflict of interest of the alleged shareholding that the SEBI chief had before the SEBI told the Supreme Court we draw a blank. And which is why from this platform we appeal to the highest constitutional court in the country to take suo motu cognizance and probe this matter independently. This government has no face, no wherewithal, no credibility, no integrity to probe the Adani scam at all. And after the Hindenburg research report's accusations and allegations, the SEBI has been found wanting too. And under no circumstances, with these glaring allegations, can Madhabi Buch continue in her position for a single more moment than now. Caesar's wife has to be above suspicion. This is about the credibility of our markets. $3 to $4 trillion money is invested there. One cannot turn a